He just signed up a few days ago.
Jason's awesome.
Yep.
Hey, everybody. Joseph Puckett here, Craig Wiggins Coaching. Thank you so much for joining us for today's live members only webinar. And we have a very special guest today, Craig Wiggins. No, I'm just kidding. Jeff Shi has come all the way to Alabama to eat some Alabama sushi. How was it?
It was amazing.
It was amazing?
It was good.
Yes. So we've got him fed. He just shot an hour's worth of content that we're going to be putting together to
Good
put on the
stuff.
platform.
Good stuff.
So I'm excited about that. And before I pass it to Craig to formally take everything away, I would like to remind everyone, especially those that are on for the first time, to please not use the chat to submit us questions. All throughout the conversation, feel free to submit questions through the Q&A function of Zoom. Don't use chat. It's hard for me to keep up with all the questions via chat. We are, of course, recording this webinar, and I'll have it on the platform likely tonight. So you can go back through it tomorrow or share it with your team. And with all that said, I'll pass it to the man himself, Craig Wiggins.
Well, thanks, Joseph. Hey, it's great to be with everybody today. We're really excited about this particular webinar. I've known Jeff for a long time, and we've been friends. And this is the second time to the agency. He came last year with Dave Williams. And I think a lot of you that are on Transform Your Agency, you got to see a lot of videos that Jeff put together about what's going on in his life and what he's been through and that type of thing. And I think a lot of people can relate to that, you know, especially the struggles and the difficulties. And Jeff's very open and transparent about the challenges that he's had and what he's had to go through. And it's not all about what he's doing right now, which is great. He's doing amazing things now. But I wanted to talk a lot about how he got there, and hopefully some things that everybody on the call can learn from today, whether you're brand new or whether you've been here for 25 years, regardless of your book size. I think there's just a lot of things that he can add of value to help everybody on the call and get through some of these difficulties, because, you know, that's really that's the toughest part is finding out how to pick yourself back up when things don't go the way they're supposed to go and keep going. And, you know, obviously we're trying to provide as much support as we can here, but you know, years ago, we didn't have any of that kind of support, you know, and it was difficult. You know, you talk to different agents, that type of thing, but there may be some differences in markets or whatever, and you just had to kind of figure some things out. So Jeff's been through a lot, but he's a great guy, and he's doing things the right way, which I really respect him for. You know, we've talked a lot about his business and his operation, and, you know, there's a lot of people out there that are cutting corners and doing things just to, you know, slang items and put policies on the books. I don't think he's doing any of that at all. I think he does it the right way. He's teaching his people to do it the right way. And he cares about his culture. He cares about his people. He cares about, you know, them being successful and them reaching their full potential and adding a lot of value, not only to the agency, but to their families' lives and their customers' lives. And, you know, that's really what we're all about here. So I welcome you, and hope we have a really good conversation today. Really appreciate you coming out and spending some time with us. So I thought we'd do is just maybe kind of start it off with people that maybe don't know you or don't know much about you. Give us a little bit, just a little bit, not 21 minutes, a little bit of your background, you know, and how you kind of got started, what brought you to Allstate, you know, and the way you were raised that maybe helped make you the person that you are today.
Sure. So I come from a blue-collar background. You know, I'm a, you know, immigrant to this country. My parents brought me when I was 11 years old, you know, and kind of growing up, watching them go through the struggles. My mom worked for minimum wage, and my dad delivered newspaper and Chinese food. Just really growing up as a kid, watching how hard your parents work for the opportunity that I'm given. You know, how can I not work hard to appreciate that opportunity? And, you know, I didn't have the money or the grade to get to the college level, so I never went to college, and just pick up a couple of jobs and work hard and hustle. You know, keyword here is hustle, trying to keep on moving myself forward and into the top. And, you know, I was in the car business for 5 years, have taught me so much about sales in the car business. You know, car business is a hard grind. It's a sink or swim type of grind. And we deal with people all day long. We deal with confrontations all day long. And taught me about confrontation, people, and sales. You know, lead management systems, take phone ups, you know, and how to follow up, turn into sales, build report, build referral. Then a friend of mine turned me onto the insurance thing, and I looked into it and I really want to get into it. took me a couple of years to get prepared, lean out with the personal expense, save up the money. And, I went after 4 insurance carriers: State Farm, Progressive, Nationwide, and Allstate. And, you might see it on a different video later, but they all turned me down. And Allstate was the only company that was willing to give me a chance. And, sometimes that one chance is all we need to change our life. And I took that chance that I was given and just try to never look back. The road path wasn't always easy. Nobody ever taught me how to do this or do it at a good level, successful level, or great level. And, a lot of failures to success, a lot of struggles. And through the struggles, how we came over everything. And we broke it down of the growth in different phases: phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, which was the first scratch agency, the second scratch agency. The first scratch agency, we grew to $3 million. The second scratch agency, we grew to almost $5 million now. And the third phase was we purchased a $12.3 million premium mega book in Maryland, which is a separate state, but in the same region, capital region. And the fourth phase is what we're trying to go through now, where we just opened up another scratch agency. We did 987 items and 680,000 premiums and almost 1.2 annualized total premium on auto last month. And our goal is to continue to keep up the same pace we're doing. And my trip down here is I have been really successful on growing the team. I have been successful on building the culture, building the structures. But what I want to do is I want to take my 30 item people to the 40 item, 40 item people to the 50 items. And there's one thing that these two guys down here do really well is maximizing the opportunity, and tell someone they're not doing a great job who's selling 40 items and tell them that they are 80 item people or 100 item people or even more. And a lot of that is believing, right? It starts with believing. And, I definitely learned a lot this trip down, even though it's my second trip, I think I'll have to learn more this trip than the last trip. And just slowly digest that in and trying to bring it back home and share with everybody else back home. Because my God, they watch these guys' videos all the time, but at the same time, doing some things that we're not comfortable. How do you take yourself out of taking leads, making phone calls, making follow-up calls, replying to your customers, and just say, you know what, I don't just need to cover up 20 minutes for video training. I need to cover up another 20 minutes for role playing. Mm-hmm. I need to cover up another 20 minutes of dissecting my own sales calls and follow-up calls. And I think that was one thing we're missing. We watched you guys training in the videos religiously, but one thing we failed to do is, do the things that are part of the role play and dissect the phone calls to a point where we're consistently doing it. And Beth, one of their top producer there, I was lucky enough to spend 20 minutes with her just picking her brain, and she talked a lot about her failures. And everyone know her as a girl who sells 100 plus items, but she talked about the time that she sold 60 and how Joseph was making her doing these sales calls of her dissecting her own sales calls and he dissecting her calls. And he didn't tell her what she did wrong, but he also told her what she did right. So he broke her down, broke the conversation down, and then put it back together and build the confidence and momentum going forward. So I think that's like two things I really told these guys that I learned down here. We did 900 some items last month, but I know with the current team we have, without ramping up more, we're capable of 1,500 items or 2,000 items. And I'm the chokehold that had to get them there. So it starts with me. And then once I go back home, I'm going to re-implement some things, just a small thing that we can start tweaking. But the difference between a playoff team and the championship team is a difference in details. They say, talent wins playoff games, but hard work and talent wins championships. That was a Chicago Bulls model. And I think the way we can learn little things, start tweaking them, is how we can get to the next level. And that next level is obtainable in the next month, next 2 months. We can get there, and that put us in a rear air. But the higher you get, the thinner the air gets. So you have to do not less, but more, because you're trying to do things that, very few have done. So you just got to push it even harder. And I see that my buddy Jason Kilgo is on here. So I want to share a quick story if you guys don't mind.
Sure.
Can you tell a quick story?
I can tell a quick story.
I'm just kidding.
So when we first started, we started with 2 LSP and myself and 2 of my people. And it was 3 of us. We learned in the insurance business, first year in the scratch agency. All 3 of us never ever sold insurance before. And Jason was a young agent. He played basketball. I played basketball. We used to shoot together. And we thought about how do we push our best people to the next level. And at the time, my guy, Fernando, he was doing really well. And Jason had another guy. He was doing really well. So we figured, why not put them 2 together and let them work together for a day? So he was one of the first agents to open his office. And I was able to send my top guy to his office, work along his top guy. And then after that one-day visit, he came back. He was totally different, totally confident. And immediately he went from a 30-item month to a 50-item month the next exact month. And I think that's so key that agents scared to let their staff go out of their agency. But if you find agents in your area that is willing to push you to the next level, you also got to find your managers, your team leaders, your top salespeople get pushed to the next level with other people who are in the same exact role, facing the same challenges, same difficulties, and put that together. Who's the best 5 people in their life? We always pushing each other because we find the best 5 people in our life. But who's the best 5 people in their life? How do we put them together? So sure. I thought that was really awesome. That was a story I have never really shared, but that was pretty cool.
Well, I think it's pretty cool when you get someone who's writing 1,000 items a month that's still trying to figure out how to get better and how to do things on the next level, as he says. So, there's a lot of people on the call that, were in your shoes now where you were, a few years ago. Let's talk through some of that. When you first started your agencies, when you first started, ramping up to get to where you are today, what are some of the things that you could give the audience some advice about, some challenges or some mistakes that you made, something that you could go back and do over to get from 1 million to 3 million or 3 million to 5 million or from 40 to 80 items a month? What are some of those things that you could talk about with the group and share some experiences that you've had? Sure.
So, if you are within your first phase of your agency development, come to this business, if you are within the first 3 years, the 2 of the biggest mistakes I made. Actually, there's 3, but first one, get your Series 6 and Series 63 out of the way. I let it drag out, and I didn't think it was anything, but, we all get busy with things. 1 month is this, next month is that. I seen agencies' office get shut down. It definitely held me back on my growth because I didn't take it seriously. And next thing you know, I was failing one test, failing the second test. I failed the test 3 times, and, one point I almost thought I was going to lose my office. And I wouldn't be here talking to you today if I didn't pass that test. I had like 2 weeks left of my, window to take the test. That's definitely the first advice. And the second advice is don't try to be everything. I see scratch agent trying to learn benefit. I see scratch agent running commercial. I see new agents, doing every single possible marketing. You're a scratch agent. You need to focus on one marketing and just get amazing at it. Don't be direct mail, newspaper, radio ad, COI, referral with a car dealership, buy internet leads, buying live transfer leads. If you can buy data leads, get really good at it. If you buy live transfer, get really good at it. If you are doing direct mail, get amazing at it. There's a way to cut the cheese for everything. But, what I really want people is don't try to do everything. And I see some people doing commercial. Commercial products, great product, low loss ratio, high payout. But until you master what we do every single day, the auto in the home, what this company is built on, benefit, commercial, those are the things that you're trying to conquer when you have a full portfolio. But you have to build a portfolio first. And then, if I could give agent advice, is focus. Get laser focus on writing the simple thing, the auto insurance, and be the best at it. Be able to do the one call close. Have an amazing follow-up system to best utilize all the leads that you purchase, all the quotes that you do. And so that's number 2. Number 3 is train. Train and hire. Be bold, take opportunity, take chances on people who are hard workers, but not just someone who have experience in the insurance business. Take chances on high ethical, high hardworking, dedicated people, and give them all your energy, all your resources. Buy them training, buy them CWCs, buy them, the opportunity to go across the town to work with other LSPs, build up their support system, set up a book library in your office. We have a book library. It's not nowhere near it needs to be, but it got to have at least 30, 40 books in there to have them start improving themselves and realize that, we all have to train our mind every single day, and what we put in is what we get. So that's probably 3 advice.
Well, staffing, you mentioned that. That's always top of the list when it comes to challenges, and you've done a really good job hiring a lot of people. We have like 250 people working for you now, it seems like. Let's talk a little bit about where you're finding those people, because that seems to be one of the biggest challenges, finding good candidates. Where are you finding them, and what does a little bit of that process look like when you decide to bring somebody on?
All right. So I have a good way of using social media. We actually did a video for our office. It was a 2-minute video that was shot by Ben. Ben is from my church, and we use it as recruiting tools. So a lot of time, people don't think insurance sales is a very glorifying job. They think it's a boring job. They picture, on Joanne or, on Angie, who's in her late 60s and, paying at the keyboards, and it's like, where's the file cabinet, right? And, but, insurance business has changed, and, this business is high revenue, high payout. So we need to attract the best talent out there. So, this year we built a video for our office, and, that video is a 2-minute video. If you guys want to go on YouTube, type Allstate Jeff Shi, and there's a video that we've made out there, and we send this video out on every single recruiting calls. So I actually do have a full-time recruiter in my office. Her name's Alicia. She does an amazing job, and also we have another girl named Britton. They do an amazing job together. They work alongside of our salespeople. To answer Kyle Taylor's question, I stopped counting after 49.
How many staff you have currently?
Yeah.
It's 5 locations?
5 locations. 5 locations and 1 full-time training center where we're dedicated for training and training only for the new team. And also our goal is to build a full-time life insurance team. We have about $23 million book now, and 18,000 PIF. So we have a lot of opportunity for life insurance. So we don't build a big life team, and our goal is to get to 100 IPS a month. And so going back to hiring and recruiting. So every time when we find the right candidate, we know between now and the time they come in for interview, there's a chance that our interview get dropped because they can find another opportunity. We know the minute their resume go on Indeed, they're going to get bombarded by every sales industry company and insurance company. So we had to make ourselves stand out, right? So we would email them, we're texting them, we're tell them to go check out our videos to sell our culture, sell our environment. And so they can see, especially, millennial, the age 26 is the biggest unemployment group in the country, but also is the biggest age group in this country. Millennials is our future in a way, because there are 40,000 Allstate agents, State Farm agent, nationwide agents going to retire. That's not to mention, how many independent agents, how many LSPs that's going to be retiring. So there's a huge gap of employment that we need to fill. So how do we attract these young people? Do they want to be in an environment where it's high energy, live, and people are smiling, laughing? So build this video together to attract people. So make sure that video is just to sell the appointment, just to sell the interview. And once they get their shoes into my office, now they have to sell them to me, and we have to sell us to them. This is why you want to work with us, the people that are going to help you better, the tools that are going to help you train, the people that's going to train you, the staff that you're going to go through, the compensation plan, the lead that we're going to provide you, along with the lead that you're going to build. And then, the last step is me sell myself. Why do they want to work for me versus everybody else? The competition is tough. These days, everybody wants the best. But you're not the only one that want the best. Like there's State Farm agent and Allstate agent, they want to take your lunch. They're hungry just as much as you're hungry. So I think, we have to get really creative, right? When we talk about attracting the best talent. And then people always I see a lot of complaints on Facebook. My staff didn't bother to show up. This future candidate didn't bother to show up to the interview, and they solely focus on that blame on them. But if that person know this is a culture that's exciting, this is a culture where people are making 10,000 plus a month, would they have show up to that interview? Maybe they would have, right? So I think when we hear a story like someone don't show up to the interview process, that could go both ways.
Yeah, that's actually really good. We've done a lot of videos, and people ask us all the time, how do you get your candidates? We've got some of our best candidates with Facebook videos. The cool thing about Facebook videos is you're reaching a lot of people that are not necessarily looking for a job. They just happen to be on Facebook. They see the opportunity, and they may reach out. Versus someone who's always looking, a lot of times they're looking for a reason. So, if you haven't seen those videos, you can check out the one on YouTube that Jeff's got. We've got several as well. I would encourage you to make a video, a recruiting video, and it can just be shot with your iPhone, in 2 or 3 minutes, walking around the office talking about the opportunity. I think what Jeff mentioned, though, about talking more about the culture and the real opportunity there from a financial perspective, I think that's really important, and we should probably do more of that in our videos. So that's really, really good. Once you get these people on board, and now you've got 38 producers that you're trying to generate business with, what are you doing with lead generation? That's another thing that comes up all the time with our members is, where are you getting your leads? How are you feeding 38 people enough business to keep them busy to write these 1,000 items a month?
So, one thing I forgot to put in, I see a lot of agents put pictures and videos up of their office, grand opening pictures. And I see agents who design their office like Taj Mahal. They're spending $1,000 on paintings and artwork. And then I look at the producer's desk. It has one monitor. That shocks me because, we always make fun of CIC, but CIC even use 2 monitors standard. And, in our agency, we encourage people to bundle all the time. So they got to have 2 screen up for auto quote, home quote. And then, you're thinking, I have another system I'm using for lead management tool, or, watching the leads come in, and then we have another office chat. So I think the 3rd monitor is pretty important, something that I definitely recommend. Amy, Bennett, I see 2 questions here that talk about compliance.
We'll get to that in a minute. Okay. Back to lead generation, though.
Okay.
Where are you generating your leads? You've got 38 people, and you're writing 1,000 items a month. Everybody, I'm sure, wants to know, where are you getting those leads from? Where are they? Are you buying leads? Are you getting referrals? Are you working win-backs? What are you doing to generate the leads for that team?
I thought I was promised we're going to be served softball here. So Craig put me on the spot. We use Center of Influence, and we deliver pizza to car dealerships. But
need the real answer.
So the real answer, okay. We do buy leads, we purchase leads, and we don't do any direct mail. And not saying that direct mail does not work, because I do know, Jason Fleming, Chris Hatfield, Brian Culbertson, these guys crush it on direct mail. We just focus on one thing we do, which is buying leads. We have great relationship with DataLot, ALM, Quote Wizard, and we stay there. And also, there's a couple of new companies out there. There's Avenge. There's no secret. I think a lot of agents believe it is a secret. Like, oh man, don't share the lead count that we're using. Oh, but I don't think there's a secret. When you're trying to feed this many people, it becomes tough to feed all of them, to keep them busy, keep the activity level high, get to that 10 plus quote per day, 20 plus quote per day. We just brought up a new company called YPC Media. They're an amazing company. They help us generate organic leads. They help us, get our phone ring, right, against our competitors. So if you ever want to reach out, you can message us, and we'll share the contact info for them. And Andre, Bob, and Jen, they do an amazing job. So we use lead management tools. We use voice over IP phones, and really capture all of our data. And that's the thing, we don't win the first try. We got to start winning on the second, the third. My current focus is how we can build a better closing tools and training on how to win more on the first try.
All right. One more question for you before we get to the questions from our audience. How do you pay your people? What does that compensation plan look like for your producers?
So we pay a flat rate of the annualized commission. Our folks they're paid on annualized auto, annualized properties. We focus on paying all state commissions. I discourage them most of the time to write brokers because there's no money there. We don't build up our book value like we should. I've tried to really focus on them writing auto, writing home, writing the most basic thing that we sell every single day, and we're great at it. So we pay on 15% commission, and we're paid twice a month, semi-monthly. So if you're writing something, 1st to the 15th, you'd be paid on the first Friday after 19th. 16th to 31st, you'd be paid on the first Friday the next month.
Okay.
And this drives to, most of the time we have end of the month push. But this drives to push, so that way down on the 14th, on the 15th, people going for that check that they wanted to be, they really start pushing on the 14th, 15th, 13th, the drive to pushes for us.
So 15% commission, is it flat or is it tiered?
It's flat.
It's flat.
Yeah.
And is there any salary?
There's a lot of agents do tiers, and I see the pros and cons of it. I see the pros for them to push harder, to drive to the next level. But at the same time, when we do a flat pay, sometimes people do struggle for a bad month. And, my goal is to put money in people's pocket because they have family to feed. And also not send back anything to the next month. Sure. I want them to chase every single sale today.
What about salary? Any salary? Is it straight commission?
All of our officers, some of our officers are on salary, and their team leaders all of our team leaders is commission only, and they get a share of the override for their sales team.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get into these questions, Joseph, because I know they're piling up, but I wanted to get those out of the way.
Yes, and just please remember to not submit questions via chat. Use the Q&A. Anonymous asks, how do you work to create a strong team, centered and encouraging environment amongst your staff? So strong team-centered and encouraging environment for your staff. So
that's something that I don't have a right answer for. It is something we work on every single day. There's a thin line between managers and leaders. And there's also a thin line between a boiler room and a call center and trusted advisor. Mm-hmm. You don't want one way of each completely. You do want a mix of everything. So when I say trusted environment role, where you have a bunch of insurance agents truly care about their customers, right? And when you say you have a call center, you have a machine of high volume dials and high volume of calls. And when I say boiler room, you have a bunch of hungry lions that just want to go out there and crush it on a 10x level. Those are all three great models. And how do I get a little bit of every single one model and doesn't go completely to the left or completely to the right, but have a piece and bits of every single one of the three. So the call center model, the boiler room model, and the trust advisor model is something we're trying to build among all three.
Amy asks, what processes do you use to make sure that your producers are writing compliant business? What checks and balances do you have in place for compliance?
This is an uncomfortable conversation. So, I want you to establish this on day one. Day one, when they walk in that door, you deliver the message in the interview process. And if you're training your producer or your team leader or your manager training your producer, let them deliver the message. And you re-emphasize the first time they make an SRM mistake. We all have gateway, and within our gateway, there's a manage my staff tool, right? When you open the manage staff tool, you pull up the portfolio profile of your LSP. You have them sit next to you. Say, hey, Joseph, you see this right here? There's a terminate section, and you can click on the terminate section, and you can say why Joseph was terminated: voluntary, involuntary, performance-based, and ethic-based. If you check the mark of ethics, you're going to get an email, which I say from licensing office in Northbrook and Nebraska, I think. And they're going to ask, why was this person terminated for involuntary? And why was it based on outside of performance? And you can say, I'm going to have a full type-up for you of why this SRM hit you on that sale and why you were terminated. So the next process is also going to start an investigation by the licensing department. And then they're going to send that review board up to the state insurance department. So you will not just lose your binding authority with us and lose your job. You will lose your binding authority within the state, within the region, and possibly you will lose your career in the insurance industry.
So you're setting that up front.
Yep.
That's good.
Before you even bring them on, you're talking about compliance and ethics and doing the right thing and not risking your license over a deal.
Yep. And never ever take sides, never ever change how you approach SRM problems. It's going to come. I don't care if you have 10 Jesus in your office and Moses himself.
Stuff happens.
You put 10 of the most hungry lions in the same room, things going to get gray. Sometimes things going to push over the gray. And you will have SRM compliance things. So first of all, you have to establish that upfront, and then you establish, what if they do mistake? Now the spotlight is on you. How do you handle it? So, you got to make sure you treat your 10-item producer the same way you treat your 80-item producer. I don't care if you bring me 40, 50,000 premiums a month. If you make an SRM mistake like we told you, you have to suspend that person. You have to give them a real glimpse of reality. You're gone. You're going to go home for 2 weeks and you can think about what you just did. You put me, myself, my family, my company, and every single job here at jeopardy because of your decision. And I'm going to go back, sit in the room with you, and listen to that same sales call that you just had. And I'm going to ask you exactly what made you decide to make that choice at the time of the call. And then the only other thing is we also have a spot check process where the people who are not able to follow the rules on SRM, what's the definition of SRM? It's an acronym.
It's so Jennifer, it's strategic risk management, things like proof of prior, proving accidents removed, and things like that. Strategic risk management, Jennifer. So
the people who cannot follow the SRMs that we put out front, we now put them through pre-buying process where they have to have their policy checked by every single team leader and managers or senior salespeople, and they fail once, they're terminated.
So I think what you just said is really important. I think people need to understand setting that tone in the very beginning is really important. Talking about your non-negotiables, how things are going to work, and that it's not just that job, it's everybody's job. And you're right. If you go after them or you terminate them for ethics, Allstate's going to go after them, go after their license. And not only will they not be working with your organization, they may not be working anywhere with that career. So having that set up in the very beginning, and then just having that culture where we're definitely spot checking, just like we do the same thing here with new agents. We look at everything that they write for several weeks, sometimes months, depending on how much volume they're doing. But setting that tone in the very beginning and discussing that up front and talking about how important compliance is, guys, it's a big deal. You don't want to just put your head in the sand and think that everything's going to be fine and mistakes are going to go away and not worry about it until you get caught. It's just a matter of time before someone catches up with that. So don't do that. Head it on at the very beginning, set that tone, make sure they understand how important that is, and you'll be much, much better off. That's really good.
And, I'm putting myself out there, but I have, personally been through those SRM issues, and, there's no shame. This is part of the business, and you need to share that with the whole staff, what the reality is. And I sat down with a reality check with one of my staff and said, hey, because of your business, we were putting this SRM issue, and now I have to sit through. The way region deliver the message is they send you an email, your FSO will call you, your RSO will call you to make sure you be at the next appointment for a live call with the region, and then you will get it delivered in the mail as well. This is pretty much the last step before your termination. And I said, hey, you know what? You put this company in jeopardy, and there are 49 plus jobs here because that's in jeopardy because of your mistakes.
Right.
And we're not going to tolerate it. We're not going to tolerate it because you're Michael Jordan or Steph Curry. It doesn't make sense.
Let's rapid fire through the rest of these, Joseph. They're piling up, and we got about 30 minutes left.
Got some comp questions. How do you track your producer comp? Do you use Agency Zoom?
We 100% use Agency Zoom, and also we have a great operation manager. He go back and make sure it is legit business. But Agency Zoom is one of the best tools out there. CWC, Agency Zoom are it's two things I can't imagine working without. I'm throwing shout out there, of course.
I like it.
We do too.
Do you offer bonus opportunities or performance goals for your service team?
Right. So our bonus opportunity, our service team sells. They get a 10% commission on everything they sell. And, I don't want to take the aggression away from people. There's two sides. Some people believe in service generate referral opportunities. I like that. When they're not generating, we want them to sell as well. As far as bonus, yes. We offer life referral bonus, and also we offer annual bonus based on what the agency hits.
Are your sales goals based on items, premium, or both? I guess it depends on which book.
Mm-hmm. So when I sit down with my salespeople, I hold them accountable to make $10,000 per month, and their goal is to make $5,000 per paycheck. To keep their job is 40 items for them to keep their job. 30 items is what I usually look at for someone the first 6 months in the business, and now I want to hold them to the next goal, which is 40 items. But I think this is a high opportunity job. When we provide leads, when we're spending the amount of money we're spending on leads, if someone can make $10,000 a month working at your agency, they shouldn't be working there. That should be the goal. You hold them. Items, premiums, those are cute, but those are the things that benefit the agency owner. You want to focus on the thing that benefit your employees, your sales team. And, to be in a high driving, fast-paced sales job like this, we should have 6-figure sales employees.
Chris asks, what steps could a smaller agency of 5 or less take to be able to compete with the larger offices when it seems like all your leads are dead?
That's a good
question. For smaller agencies, how can they get things really rolling?
There's a great tool out there. It's called QuoteBurst, and they have this one tool, all the many features that they use called Flashback. Mm-hmm. You can, let's just say you don't have a lot of money to go out there buy live transfer or internet leads. You can easily use this QuoteBurst tool, which is owned by an Allstate agent, and run the Flashback. In the Flashback system, there's a thing that it will allow you to pull every single quote your agency has ever quoted. And then it dump it on your desktop in Excel format. And then you can sort it by 5 cars, 4 cars, 3 cars, 2 cars. Give your best leads of 5 cars, 3 cars, 2 cars to your best producers, and have the single auto chase by your new producers. And just make sure you have a good CRM system, lead management tool, and make sure you're tracking these calls and listening to these calls. And, for someone with a cash flow issue, that's definitely a quick way to generate activities, and go after all the quotes, especially anytime your estate have an auto revision, 5% less in discounts, stuff like that. You want to hit it up real hard right away.
Amy asks, what does the day-to-day look like for Jeff? What's your day look like other than hanging out with these 2 crazy cats?
So it's heartbeat. I listen to the heartbeat of the organization. Sometimes some people need massaging. They go through a tough time in their life. The past month we had 2 agency sales employees lost their parent. Oh. We had 5 that have been in the hospital because their parent is going through health issues, and 2 that have been in the hospital because their kids going through health issues. So 7. I mean, that's just within the past month of May. Just be there for them, and take out the 5 seconds, 10 seconds, send them a text message. That text message take you 5 seconds to send. It means the world to somebody else. Mm-hmm. And sometimes people need mental days. Some of our CSRs, office managers, especially the office managers, appreciate your office manager. They go through so much BS every single day, dealing with people who are grown adults but can't show up to work on time. These are the little stress that they go through. Make sure they have mental day. Sometimes they don't need that raise. They need a mental day. And, I know when my people get burned out. I know when they become snappy. And they need that mental day. So just following the heartbeat.
Todd asks, which lead management systems have you used, but what do you now use?
This is a sensitive question because there's a lot of debates out there on social media. There's a lot of good systems out there. Sure. Blitz, Velocify, Follow Up to DYL. You just gotta do your own pick. I'm not gonna get into the debate of this because everybody have their own opinions. It's kind of like politics. But I would suggest you really take the time and go through a demo with every single company. There's a new company out called Ricochet. Just go through the demo of every single company and find what works best for you. And within our own agency, we run Velocify and we also run DYL. And, find out what system worked the best for you. Take the time, work the demo because, you're spending so much money on lead management. You got to find the right tool to keep those stuff.
And what I would say is whatever your system is, use it. If you don't use it, it ain't going to work. Any lead, even e-agent, if used correctly, could be used to manage follow-ups.
Use file folders. They worked.
Back in the day. No ageism jokes today. Have you ever used a data lot for leads? Anonymous wants to know.
I have. Data lot's awesome. Data lot. They have really good sales rep. Chelsea, Eric, those guys, they know the Allstate world inside out. They understand us. Finding a really good rep is a key thing here, working with you. One of our team are short staffed. They turn the volume off us. And, when you high staff agency, you cannot have a single day, a single hour go on without activities. So to have the right lead stream into your agency is very, very important.
Along those lines, Byron asks, how much do you spend on sales leads per LSP a month? Kind of a ballpark.
That's a good question.
Billions and billions and billions. No.
That is
thousands
a good question.
Or 1,500?
2,000.
About $2,000 leads per sales agent. Yeah. Cody wants to know, do you pay any of your bonuses in cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin? So,
when Bitcoin was in the high rise, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and my own personal favorite, Cardano, ADA, when they were on the rise, I encouraged my people to look at them. I encouraged them to do their own studies. And, if these guys want to get into stocks themselves, if they want to get into real estate investing, if they want to get into cryptocurrency, I encourage it. Not because I'm a believer in it, but because I think they need to learn investing themselves. How do we teach people on investing and improving their personal life if we don't actually show them the rope, right? So we have a lot of books in our office that talk about personal financing, Dave Ramsey stuff, Warren Buffett stuff, Robert Kiyosaki cash flows, and everything about cash flow.
What does your onboarding and training program consist of? CWC, job shadowing, etc.
David right here. I know Dave. Mm-hmm. What's up, Dave? So it's a little bit of everything, and exposure all day long. If they're not doing the University 1, University 2, they're doing CWC. And sometimes when we're thinking this is a too much insurance person, we need to bring a little boiler room into their life. We also have access to Grant Cardone. We watch them do the Cardone thing. But first, they need to learn insurance. They need to be confident of the product they're talking about. So we have pots, right? Pots of 3, pots of 4 offices, and where they can sit next to a high producing agent in our office and listen to their calls and just drill it until it is everyday, like driving, like using chopsticks. Craig uses chopsticks amazingly. He uses like my people does.
My people. Nicholas says, I need to step up my sock game. Where do you buy your socks?
So I have these Allstate agents, friends of mine. They send me great socks, like happy socks.
What's your address?
Paul Bannister, shout out to Paul. He sent me some cool socks. So Nick, I have these amazing friends of mine send me cool socks. So if you want to contribute, look me up on Outlook.
How often do you and your entire staff get together, or do you have team bonding events? Stephanie wants to know.
So we have daily chat, and we're pretty much on it all the time. We use Bro 6. A lot of also agents, they're using Bro 6. They're free. You use a personal version. And we chat in chat room. We have service chat room, sales chat room, team leader chat rooms. We have location chat rooms, which is on there. And then I go out to lunch with the top people that we have.
Are you Jeff Shi or Jeff Shiva on Facebook?
Jeff Shiva.
Jeff Shiva on Facebook.
Facebook.com/Jeff Shiva. So, but if they search Jeff Shi, look for a guy look like a panda. So,
thank you, Jeff. Greg says for your 30-day video challenge and for nominating Joseph. I'm enjoying the videos. I have to make one. Does this count? This doesn't count.
No,
this doesn't
I have to make one for today.
It has to be a daily personal life of Joseph and what's on his heart.
Tacos. Craig says, how do you manage 5 locations at such a high level without some locations suffering because of lack of focus?
That's a good question.
That's a great question. That's always the case, right? Some location, they're gonna miss the love, like they're not being loved on. I try to visit all the locations, and I recently just got married. My wife's pregnant, so we have twins on the way in November.
Congratulations.
So thank you. That's going to be an even harder challenge. But that's why we do have great team leaders. They take the time, spending time in each office, and help me do my job. You got to have the people in place to help you do your job. This is not an easy task. When we're trying to do everything, they say you want to go fast, go alone. You want to go far, go with the team.
What is the process? Nope, sorry. What is your turnover for staff? I once heard you always want to be replacing your bottom 10%. Do you agree?
I have heard that before, and definitely a practice by many, many corporations and sales organizations. It depends on people. This is not a black and white question. This is pretty gray. If you have somebody who's keep on wanting to try, keep on putting the effort, just go back and watch the movie Rudy. One guy doesn't have the talent, doesn't have the skills, but his heart and his effort, the coach kept him on the team for that pure purpose. The guy never played a single down in the regular season, but his effort and his drive motivated every single person that was on that team. And then, you got to have a culture. So sometimes the people who are on the bottom, they are encouraging the others.
Chris asks, when did you make the transition from working inside the agency to working on the agency? I'm a medium agency trying to get to that next level.
So Chris, he definitely is either someone that's in their phase 1 or phase 2 of his organization. And I went to visit a buddy of mine. At the time I had 6 employees, 6 people on my team. And Thomas Bianco, one of the best agents in the country out of Pittsburgh, and it was on that trip back to my organization. My operation manager told me from now on, you need to step out of the business and work on the business. And that was a single decision day I made to change my life.
Tom asks, do you have a life requirement for your sales producers to receive maximum commissions? Or is it just a flat rate plus you have the bonuses?
So there's 2 sides to this conversation. And a lot of agents who are on this side who make a requirement, there's nothing wrong with that. I used to have that. But one thing I saw a little bit morale issues whenever these agents work their butt off to get the premiums and miss on the AOR part, and their paycheck's nowhere near where their paycheck is. In my setting low expectations so our agency doesn't get the high results, I could be doing that because I have gone away from that. And, this trip up here, I have discussed with Joseph and Craig that we have suffered this year in our AOR production because we changed that. We took away that requirement. But at the same time, on the other side, our PNC number have been, an area where it never has been. So that's a tough one, and I wish I can give you an answer, but I don't have an answer.
I don't think there is an answer. Sticks and carrots, I don't think either one of them really work that well. I think it's really all about culture and getting people to care. And when you can get people to care and do it for the right reasons, that's when you'll have a lot of consistent success with ALR. It's tough to do it with, especially with a stick.
Jake wants to know, do your LSPs cold call or do you use telemarketers or both?
So when we first started, they cold call a lot. We bought a lot of age leads because we didn't have cash flow. And now we're got to a point where we do have some cash flow, and we buy really good internet leads. A lot of time we want to beat up it on the lead providers, right? We want to beat up on Evercore. We want to beat up on ALM, and we want to beat them to the lowest price point they can give us. Well, their best leads is not going to be the lowest price point. Their best leads is going to be that $20 lead, the $25 lead, the $30 leads. And then a good lead can give you a 20% close ratio, a 12% close ratio. I shouldn't say 20 because I don't close at 20. But, even at 8%, that's amazing close ratio. And maybe we should stop worrying about beating them up so much instead of asking them how many more leads you can deliver at lowest volume, how many more leads you can deliver at the lowest price. We should say how many highest quality leads you can deliver, right, at what price. And I think that's a key thing because the less time they spend dialing, the more time they're on the phone calling. Call volume, in my opinion, is over call. Call time is over call volume. Call volume is required when they can get people on the phone, right, to show their activity. But call time is the biggest activity driver. And if you get good quality leads, then they spend on the phone on the call time.
Speaking of leads, what's your retention rate with internet leads after you close them? And what is the minimum production requirements for your sales staff? The minimum requirements was 40 items a month, right? What is your retention like with internet lead type sales?
So last year, our retention rate was 87%. I think I see a lot of markets who do 87, 88, 89. We built a whole business based on leads, and 87 is something I'm pretty proud of. We have a 135 AES score for most mega book. That's pretty tough to reach. We pride ourselves not taking the shortcuts in our agency, but doing all the things, calling the customers on renewals, reaching out to them after the claim, and these little things. All these little things add up to the bigger results.
Monica asked, did you have these phases of your business predetermined from day one, or did you just find your way through it?
Monica's so smart.
Monica, hi Monica. She's an awesome agent in Florida. So, I wish I did say I have these phases to predetermined. Sometimes we can dream what we don't know, what we don't see. It's easier to dream when you know something, you see something, and seen it done. I have seen these phases here. I have done these phases because I saw someone else accomplish it. So now with me being on here, sharing my story with their platform, so that can give someone else the determination, the plan to build all their own phases. Everybody got to have phase. Don't chase phase 2 if you have not completed phase 1. You have to grow by steps. Matt Winter said in one of our national forum, the success to elevator is broken. The elevator success is broken. Use the stair one step at a time. These phases are there for a reason. You can't say I want to run a 20-man shop when you never ran a 12-man shop. You have to get to each step, slowly and go through them.
Do you work with an EFS or do you handle financial services in-house? What comp do you pay for life and retirement sales?
So I have never ever quoted a life policy in my life. And I have my EFS teach my LSPs and my managers on how to properly sell life. My goal has always been working on the business and giving my people the tool to work on their craft.
Matt's question is a good one.
How did you, so Matt taught, little Matt as I call him.
Little Matt.
How did you project cash flow to hire as many people as you did? I am growing and I want to hire more. How do you project cash flow and not be terrified you won't be able to pay your bills for a few months, reserve money, etc.?
So, one thing I shared something on my 30-day video is I don't have a fancy lifestyle. And I know Matt Ham with Paul Della, you guys are bad influence on each other. One just bought a Mercedes C63. That cannot be a cheap car. And also, you guys live in New York, so you do that bottle service thing, and then you guys eat those $30 pizza. Those are all fancy things, right? I live pretty frugal lifestyle myself. I eat simple stuff. I come out to Huntsville once in a while to get treatment of sushis and tacos. But I currently rent. I rent 1,600 square feet house for $1,800. I have a roommate from Craigslist. My current personal expense is very lean. I don't have boat. I don't have Lambos. Someone once told me, there'll be Lambos waiting. I'm waiting on mine. I'm hoping my Bitcoin will pay off at some point. But, that's where the money come from. The money going to your agency, do they go into your pocket or do they go back to your agency? Are they going back to your agency for leads, training people? Or are they going to your 7 Series and your S-Class? I don't have lake house. I don't have pool in my backyard.
Stop.
I just have a bunch of staff that crushes on leads. So that's where the money is, and I don't think I have made it. So I'm gonna keep on diving into it until we get to 3,000 items.
Matt says, I drive a Ford. Tom says
Ford Raptor.
Tom asks, do you have a current template of your phases? What needed to be accomplished in phase 1, etc.?
I actually have business planning on every single phase I have ever done, and I follow to the teeth. So what I want you to do is go back and look up that business planning that you did with your FSLs. Most people, they do it. They throw it out the window. They say, I'm here now. I have arrived. Go back and follow it. Go back and think through it. Go back, take the time, right? And post someone who's in your local market and say, let's grow together. I'm in a group text with Jeremy Wilson, Greg Lewis, Doug Irma, Kevin Hamill. We all from Capital Region. We all in the same region. We deal with same challenges, and we have same struggles. And we talk about our growth every single day by the hour. We talk about our problems, our struggles, our new business. We celebrate our success together. I tell these guys, we rise together. We share agency Zoom screenshot of lead sources. How many agents in New York will do that with each other? We're in Texas. We have nothing to hide. We talk about where we're getting our success from. And Kevin is one of my mentors and also one of my close friends. And for 5 years, he's been the top agent in Capital Region. He's been a guy I chase every single day. And when we drink together, he pulled up the agency Zoom, show me how many items he got, how many premium he got. And you know what? He's doing to push me. And, 5 years I'll straight pushing to get me to this point. But you need to find agents who are in your market, who are not afraid to share and not afraid to push you. And that's how we're going to make each other better.
Collaboration is good.
Yep.
Jeff is a master collaborator. Would you mind sharing with us after this the template of those phases? That's something that we could share with our members, maybe put in the document section, just to get an idea of what it looked like for you to go from 1 to 2, 2 to 3.
Sure.
Okay, fantastic. We'll make that happen, Tom.
Chris asks, what are some good ways to improve your exposure in a competitive market? Exposure.
That is a good question. Competitive market as far as hiring, or competitive market as far as underwriting, or close ratio? Close ratio, you work at it every single day by role playing, by having the best lead management system and review them over and over again. When we start buying leads, we put the leads in a bucket, and that bucket becomes leaky. So we got to figure out how to plug the leaky bucket. And, I don't know how else to answer that question. That was a little bit broad. So
Alexandra asks for any tips for someone starting out as a new agent.
Make sure you're exposed to the right area. Don't let negativity or negative people get to you. That's first. Get your 6 out of the way. Start investing in the business. Leads, people, and training. Leads, people, training, just over and over again. And when you have 2, get to 3. When you have 3, get to 4. When you have 4, now start thinking about 8 and 12.
It's good.
Chris is clarifying. He was talking about underwriting, so it's competitive underwriting. So I guess trying to break through and find the best prospects.
Underwriting, okay.
Yeah, competitive
so underwriting. Check the quotes. Check all your LSP's quotes. You'd be surprised after 6 months, people still make mistakes on LSP quotes. And this is something that you guys probably laugh about, but it wasn't my 2nd year in the business. I find out that we can actually call our underwriting and ask for override. 2nd year in the business.
Really?
One day, someone's like, so did you call underwriting? I'm like,
what do you mean?
Underwriting? What do you mean? For what? And they're like, yeah, you can call them and ask for. I was like, you mean to tell me I'm one outside the guideline, they will look at this and give me override? Yeah. So that was a big embarrassment, but at the same time, it was like, right? I do want to answer that question, Colin.
Go ahead.
Read the book, which if I remember correctly, Jeff even posted about a Profit First. So there's a book out there called 8 Outsiders. It's a book about CEOs. The CEO's job is, I can't remember the exact name, but they all said, I'll post about later. But, you know, as a CEO, your single biggest job is to figure out the cash flow of your organization, where you're spending your money, and what that look like for the future. That cash flow structure of how you're spending your money gotta fit on your growth. There's a saying called you can't shrink into growth. All the time people focus so much on the profit. You get your revenue up, the profit will come, the bonus will come, the returns will come, the book size will come. And when the book size come, the sales go up, you get open to so many opportunities. Mm-hmm. I mean, I would think Craig agree with me here. We would never have the opportunity we have today if we didn't have the sales results that we did.
Absolutely.
I mean, nobody just say, hey, you know what, we favor you. God favor you, region favor you, our people favor you. We can give you these opportunities, right? We have to not just, those are not given, those are earned, those are taken.
Matt wants to know top 3 books that have affected your life. I'm glad he didn't ask me that because I don't read books.
You know, Justin Hargrove and Mark Mercer turned me on to 10X, Grant Cardone, and then followed by Be So or something. And then there's another one, Be Obsessed or Be Average. So the whole series of Grant Cardone book is awesome. The second part, I would say, Cash Flow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki. That's an amazing book. And then the third one is Delivering Happiness by Tony Tsai, who's the founder of Zappos, you know, talking about building a pod of teams versus, you know, having managers, etc. I'm
not going to read any of those. Alexandra asked, what marketing avenue has worked best for you?
Leads.
I'll say, yeah.
All kinds of leads. Anonymous says, your LSP selling 40 a month, you require them to bring in at least 10,000. Since you have 5 locations, have any of your LSPs ever sold 100 plus? Let me know if I misunderstood you. So 40 is your minimum expectation. Mm-hmm. Have you had any Century Club agents, or are we still working to build to a Century Club agent?
So to answer that question, I am on the process there, and I have built all the blueprint to get there, but I have not gotten there. The highest production item-wise was 79 items. That was achieved by someone in our office, and we have a lot of people who are doing 30, 35, 40, and our goal is trying to get them to 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. And why I'm here learning, because I have so much more to learn, and you know what I learned is what I bring back to Virginia and Maryland. And you know, our growth was pretty significant the last 12 months. We were sitting on 233 items June of 2017. So we are in an area that we have not been. But the next 3 years, it's going to be 3 of the best years for Allstate, because we're going through this true growth phase. Mm-hmm. And, you know, you want to throw your money in when the wave is going up.
Yep.
What is the average age of your CSR and LSPs? Alan wants to know.
I am definitely the senior citizen in my organization. But, you know, we just have a guy who just graduated high school, and he's 18 years old, and he's studying for his license this week. At the same time, you know, we have people in their 40s, in their 50s, and in their 60s, and there's nothing wrong with that. The only thing with someone that's a little bit older is if they come from an insurance environment, it's going to take time to adjust, and you must be able to hold that wall straight, because they're going to push against that wall, because they will not want to adjust to our way, our culture. Mm-hmm. And it's about how long can you hold that wall, either before they walk or before you lose your patience. But as long as you hold that wall and reinforce the culture and the way we do things, those people in their 40s, 50s, 60s will be amazing salespeople, because they have life stories to tell.
Viv wants to know, how do you handle hiring applicants leaving the competitor agencies around you? Do you even really want them based on the answer you just gave? Or do you go after those that have some experience?
I do. I don't have a black and white answer for that. You know, at the end of the day, I try to hire people based on their culture that they've been through and what they would do to my culture. I poke at people pretty hard during the interview process. I'll look at a resume and look and say, hey, you know, why did you quit here? Did it get tough? Do you quit when it gets tough? Or ask them, did they play sports? You know, because sports usually is very challenging, self-challenging. And then team sports talk about leaderships a lot. And, you know, there's no black and white question, I think, to that one. Someone could be the absolute worst, or someone could bring the best into your business.
Amy and Matt asked basically the same question. What's the big picture plan for Jeff? More locations, world dominations? Matt says, what's your end goal? In all state and every state, 100 million. You're not satisfied now and you're crushing it. What's your end goal? Where do you see Jeff in 5 years?
So that's two very similar questions. And, I just went through my first missionary work this past March, actually in February, Uruguay. And my friend over here, helped us out. We had to raise some money for my missionary and then transform your agency. Craig donated 4,000. Our group Transform Your Agency did 16,000 total. Wow. And that was something I was really inspired by. So maybe in the world of missionary, and also, I have 2 babies on the way, to spend more time with my babies in the future, to spend more time with my son who's 12, who want to go to UCLA. And Nikki Carr from California sent him some UCLA gear. I want to say thank you for that. As far as, more agencies, sure. More locations, sure. But I want to make sure I do it purposely, intentionally. Growth got to be intentional. And I just want to make sure my intentions align with my why.
That's a great answer.
Do you provide laptops for your staff to work off site sometimes?
Yep. I think definitely, because a lot of companies these days, BYLs, Ricochet, they all go into cell phones. So there's no more actual phone in your working space no more. So as long as you have an internet connection, as long as you have a Bluetooth headset, you could be logged in anywhere, working on your CRM, work on your alliance, and work on your phone, quoting people, right? So I think all the VoIP providers are going to go into cell phones. So laptop is absolutely must. I kind of switch all my service people get desktop now, and all my sales people get laptops now. So everybody runs on laptop. And the 14-inch Dell laptop is now discontinued by CDW. They have the 15-inch Lenovo coming out the next week.
And they can have a docking station to connect to multiple monitors.
Right. Or if they buy all the Dell monitors, they all just use HDMI VGA, which works.
Randy asks, what's your time frame for return on investment? This is in regards to paying $20 to $25 for leads, 15% commissions, but you're only getting 10% commissions. Not in your scratch agencies, of course, but when do you look to make money back on new business?
Well, the way I look at it is, if we're willing to buy a book for 2.5 times, 3 times, why do we care if we pay 1.5 times for new business? Right. And then the extra $2,000, I just look at it as maybe make that 1.5 time to 1.2, 1.5, 1.6, 1.7 times, right? Mm-hmm. And basically, I just look at, when you have a 30-item producer, they sell 20,000 premiums a month. You annualize the 6-month auto premium they sell 35,000 premiums per month. You times 12 months, they sell 420,000 premiums a year. By bringing on board one 30-item producer, you bring revenue to your agency, 420,000 premiums a year. That's $500,000 in book size. And you get to do that over and over and over again on a weekly basis, daily basis. A lot of guys say, hey, my market is so good right now. No agent selling. Build your own.
How do you hold your staff accountable for producing their own leads?
Or do you?
I don't. I'm doing.
We need to work on that. We need to work on that.
So this is the part where we can go back to CWC training and work on ROI of our COIs.
Have you ever used Allstate Lead Marketplace?
Allstate Lead Marketplace. It's a company with huge resources, but they have a terrible rep. But I think they're making a huge comeback. Justin Marks is my rep at Allstate Lead Marketplace, and I cannot find a better rep out there that have a better vibe, heartbeat on the Allstate organization than Justin. He made the trip come out to my office as well, because we do spend a good amount of money with them. And, it's definitely something that I'm not getting paid to do. It's not my U4. But, I just want to say, reach out to them, reach out to your own rep, and then make sure you take the time. Before you're going to spend $50,000, $100,000, take the time getting to know them and let them get to know your agency, because they're pretty in touch with our agency, our lead management tools. And I told Justin, I was like, one thing you guys should do is don't sell leads to people who don't have lead management tools.
Kevin wants to know if you work with car dealerships. Are they a good source, and how can you break into working with car dealerships if you do?
Kevin, I have not cracked that part yet. So I come from the car world myself. The only thing is, quote a bunch of car sales guys. If you quote a bunch of car sales guys, you have their business. It's easier for them to refer you themselves.
Viv wants to know, how do you get your agencies involved in the surrounding communities? Or do you?
So last year we participated in 6 charity events, and we did the Allstate grants. We did 3 group grants and 4 individual grants, and this year we are planning to do 7 as well. Do stuff within my church, and I spend a lot of time speaking at the local high schools. There's these things called the DACA, right? And then, speak to future young business owner entrepreneurs of America. Definitely do those things. I got a lot of tape back myself on mentoring college kids and high school kids. I coach basketball, on the weekends with my son, and, these are the little things, right?
Yeah, we had a consult with an agency this morning. This came up, and I'm a big proponent. I think that we offer 4 hours every quarter to all of our employees to go and spend time in the community. And if they ask for more, we give it to them, and sometimes we do. But I think it's important for them to get out and help people that have no way of providing anything in return. It's I think our responsibility as an agency to give back, but I think at the same time it also will help you and help them, because it will kind of heighten their sense of helping people when they're dealing with customers and clients in the office. So strongly encourage you, if you're not, at a minimum, participate in those group grants that come about from time to time through the company to donate large sums of money to different organizations. But you definitely need to be involved in the community for sure.
Caleb wants to know, out of an 8-hour day, how much time do your producers spend on training and development, calling, quoting? Do you have any goals for daily calls and quotes?
Our goal right now is we don't use dollars in our office, so our goal is 75 calls minimum, or 2.5 hours talk time, or 2,500 in total premium production. They had to hit one of the 3, and I think after this month we're going to up it to 100 calls, 3-hour talk time, and 3,000 in premiums, because we have to raise the expectation.
Jonathan asked a very similar question, but added, as your incentive comp goes away on the scratch contract, do you anticipate changing sources of leads, number of leads that you provide?
Well, it happened to me the first couple of years. If you do not ramp up correctly in your scratch contract, you can get into cash flow situations. Our new scratch contract, we are putting about 400, 500,000 premiums, and if you analyze that, that's about 700,000 premiums a month in there. So I don't see we will run into cash flow issues at the end of the enhanced comp contract. But if you did not ramp up correctly and you are in cash flow structures, at that point, there's no manual anymore. There's no operation manual for what you have to do. You need to fight like that third monkey on Noah's Ark. I mean, you just need to fight. You're fighting for the survival of your agency. I know I just crack a joke, but you need to fight. You need to fight for the survival of your agency, the livelihood of you and your family, the livelihood of your employees, because you guys need to get to a certain book size to build that cash flow back up again so you can properly purchase leads for your marketing.
Do you hold your service staff accountable for making sales as well, or do you alter their pay structure so that they can produce leads for the LSPs and focus on service? I believe you talked about paying them 10% commission. Right. You pay them 10% commission.
Right. I don't, but I think that question is asked, do we have a goal for them?
Do you have a goal for them?
I do not have a goal for them. Okay. I could do better in this area. But last year, we went through an 18% rate increase in Northern Virginia, 12% overall in the state. Maryland, Baltimore County, and Baltimore City was 36% for monoline auto. And it's hard to hold people accountable to referrals for cross-sales or AR when they're getting beat up by our customers. Right. Our CSR have such a tough job. We over here, in our suits, listen to mics. We don't give enough thanks to our CSR how tough their job is. So to throw another wrench on top of their daily activities, at the end of the day, we should either buy them wine, buy them dinner, or just say thank you, right?
How do you deal with negative attitudes or low work ethic? Alexander wants to ask, are they terminated without a second thought, given a chance or two to improve?
And so, I went through my buddy's agency. This guy's an amazing leader, someone I'm trying to be, is Dave William. And one of his number one non-negotiable is no negative attitude. Mm-hmm. And I went to visit Zappos in Vegas. Zappos have a 95% retention rate for their call center employees. Wow. Their number one non-negotiable was no negative attitude. So just remember, everyone have a value, a dollar amount of what that culture means to them. That got to be a non-negotiable.
How do you find people who are willing to work for commission only? Do you use Craigslist or other things? How do you sell the opportunity to make them okay with commission only?
We do have a simple draw for $2,000 for the first 3 months to make sure they get ramped up. Commission only sounds like a tough job. Sometimes some job with small base is fun. But if you think about some of the biggest industry, right? Real estate industry, mortgage industry, car business industry, all state agency, that's all position that's 1099 and commission only. Mm-hmm. So,
well, you're also paying 15% too. Mm-hmm. So, when you back it all, when you put it all together, it's not much different than someone paying a small salary and 6 or 7% commission.
There's a trainer. He worked for Loan Depot out of Vegas. He used to be an ex-Marine. I follow him on LinkedIn just so I can read his motivational stuff. And one day he was promoted from trainer to another position. His name Matt Nichols. And he said, I don't promise people a rose garden. I don't paint that picture. I don't promise them vacation packages, benefits, or whatever. What I do promise them is I promise them a place they can come into every single day. I'll give them tools and I'll push them to their trainings. I'll push them to their ability every single day.
When you test new vendors, do you ask specific questions? I imagine that's about lead vendors.
I think that's a lead vendor.
Quality questions?
Don't dive in. Don't jump blindly in just because everyone else is raving about it in social media. Everyone's selling, the same rose garden. Take the time to do the demo yourself. I hear so many auto agents, well, I heard so-and-so using it. I was like, you mean you didn't do a demo? These are the things that you don't like, but you should have saw at a demo.
Right.
What is the process for a team member that shows interest in one day owning their own agency? Is that something that you would support and encourage?
So I don't wait for those guys to come to me. He or she is someone that I identify and I have a conversation with them. I had one girl who is amazing at sales, who did a really good job at sales. And she wanted that process to go through for her. And I remember one day I sent her a text message. Maybe she wasn't having a good day, but it was after hours. And she was one of my team leaders. And she replied back to me. She said, I appreciate you not texting me during my off hours. And that just shocked me because I placed her so highly in my future of the organization. So those people who one day will own their own agencies, either you send them off on their way or you come up with a consulting contract and build it together with that person. Those are very special individuals. They're not 1 out of 3. They're maybe 1 out of 10, 1 out of 20, 1 out of 30. First of all, they had to live and eat, breathe like we do. I mean, Joseph, we all do this, 18 hours a day, 20 hours a day, eat and breathe this business, Saturdays, Sundays. These are all non-negotiables. So for someone who want to go that role, first of all, they need to realize and understand the sacrifices. And, someone who's your managers or team leader, they don't want that sacrifice, and it's okay. That's just something that's not meant for them. They're plenty of job in the organization.
Francis asked, could you give the name again of the company that requotes the leads? It's Quote Burst.
Right. Quote Burst is a company.
And Flashback.
And Flashback is actual tool to go into Gateway and pull every single auto quote or pull every single home quote. So anytime you guys have RMP or rate change, pull those quotes out and we quote them.
Last question, Terry asks, full-time training center. How do you use that in developing your salespeople? Is it a routine training schedule? How long? Do they also do outside training?
So that's just the environment we'll call bubble, right? That's a safe environment. That's a safe bubble that people come into and get to enjoy, and not being around a lot of salespeople, the phone ringing all the time. Just really let them focus and absorb the first 60 days, 90 days.
Very good. Well, hey, man, I really appreciate you coming. I think that was a very informative webinar for a lot of people. And I think we answered almost 100 questions, something like that. So we got through a lot. I know it went a little bit long, but we thank you guys so much for being a part of this. We look forward to seeing so many of you at our workshops this month and next month, and then, of course, at the live event in Vegas come September. So thank you, Jeff. We really appreciate you. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing on social media. I think you're helping a lot of people and being a positive impact out there. We definitely appreciate that. So thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time.